Welcome back to the Motherly Shift podcast. I'm Kim Michelle, and on today's episode, we will conclude the discussion between Tisha, Wednesday, Andrena, and Audrey, the movie night ladies, and we'll pick up the conversation where we left off last episode with Audrey's story. You'll also hear more from me and my story. Just to reiterate, the intent of sharing these accounts of mother-daughter dynamics is to understand why we relate to our moms the way that we do, how and what we can learn from these encounters and experiences, and how we can be our best selves in these relationships. Sharing these conversations can be intense and uncomfortable at times, but so very beneficial in the end. Thank you for tuning in yet again to the Motherly Shift podcast. Let's continue the conversation.
All right, Audrey. Okay, my name is Audrey. I'm 47, from Cleveland, Ohio, born and raised. I have a very different experience with my mom than I've heard. And not to say anything against anyone else's experience, it just makes me feel very, very grateful for my mother. Me and my mom relationship right now is a little bit different than it was when I was younger. When I was younger, me and my mom did everything. I was the only girl, I was the baby, me and my mom, going shopping, just me and my mother. But actually it was me and my parents. I mean, like, I was close to both, to my mom and dad. I have absolutely no complaints about my childhood at all. I can honestly say I have no complaints about my childhood. My mom was the one, quality over quantity, or what was in faddish. So, like, the clothes that she used to buy me was things that no other child, or in my grade, high school, whatever, would have, because she wanted to make sure I had quality things. It was still stylish, but she wanted to make sure I had quality things. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if y'all remember this store, because probably up north, I don't know if it was down here, but no, Winkleman's.
Oh, yes. That's my favorite store.
My mother was
Yes. I'm not. No, so I never heard of that.
I'm sorry. I looked at Andrea and said probably not.
I never heard of it.
So
it's my mother's favorite
I used to
store.
shop in Winkleman's in high school. Mm-hmm. Like, all of my stockings and just all of this stuff, just
right, perfumes,
everything.
In high school, none of my friends was, going to. I used to want to go to merry-go-round, because that's where everybody else was going. And my mom was like, "No, we're going here. Get your little stockings. This silky.
It was just for girls.
I remember being even younger than that, and going to Children's Palace. Mm-hmm. It was called Children's Palace.
I remember we used to have one in Michigan.
Right, to get my clothes when everyone else was going to Zayre's and Kmart, Mm-hmm. So that's just a vivid memory that I always have. I used to wear Liz Claiborne shoes, Bass shoes, all of this in high school, where, but I didn't really get it then. I'm just like, okay, I had a few other friends that could, was doing the same thing, but I remember this so vividly when Jordans came. Jordans, I was wearing Jordans. My mother was like, "No, you're not getting a pair of Jordans. What am I paying all this money for? A pair of Jordans for?" But my dad bought my Jordans. My dad, we went to this little store, he was like, "Go ahead, I got my little Jordans." So I thought I was doing something. But my mom refused to buy faddish type stuff like that. Like, no, I'm not doing it. But I say all that to say, I come back to just being grateful. I can't remember anything that I couldn't have growing up. I can't remember wanting for anything. Had a car when I was in the 11th grade. As soon as I got my license, so I'm just listening to a lot of stories, and it kind of makes me feel a little shameful when I do get upset with my mom, or, because I was about to say my parents, but I really don't get mad at my dad. It would be only like, oh, my mom, and it makes me feel like, how dare I? You know what I'm saying? When I think about everything that they gave us throughout our childhood.
That sacrifice.
Yeah, that sacrifice.
The sacrifice. And they don't bring it up.
They still married?
Yes, my parents are still married. So
you saw like a happy marriage?
I saw, my parents are not like super affectionate. So I can't say I saw them like holding hands and skipping and, whatever. But I do remember like sometimes they used to go out to the cabarets or whatever. And they used to come back like, a little tipsy. Her mom was all tipsy or whatever. And, and she would come back and they just kind of like a little huggy, whatever. That's because they both were just tipsy, whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't say I just like saw them like hugged up watching TV or something like that. It was super affectionate like that. But one thing about my mom, because she worked at the post office at night. And so a lot of things, I was a cheerleader and things like that, she couldn't never go, but my dad was always there. And I never like felt like, hey, my mom don't ever come. You know what I'm saying? I never felt that way. And even just to say, like Andrea, when you say you wish that your mother would have had the strength to leave, again, my mom had the strength to leave, and she did my 12th grade year. I don't know if you knew this, but my mom and dad, they actually separated. And I remember my aunt said, you are really, my aunt Mary, she was like, you're really taking this, we're real grown up.
She said that to your mother?
No, she said it to me.
To you. Okay.
Because my mom got an apartment and she left.
So wait, I want you to continue your story.
Okay.
So you didn't see your parents be very affectionate, but did you see them fight?
Yeah, I've seen them fight
So you
before.
did
Yeah, I
see
did
them
see them
fight.
fight when they were younger.
Is it a fight or is it an argument?
Argument.
More of an argument.
Yeah, okay.
Like heated.
Fight.
No. No.
All right,
no.
Flint.
I know, right?
There's a difference.
There's a big difference, right?
Yeah, no,
That's far from fighting.
Right.
No, I've heard them argue, and I do think some things happen in their marriage, probably throughout their marriage. But I do remember, going into their room and they're having an argument, and my mom is like crying in the bed or something, but I'm like scooting on in the bed, like I don't know what y'all talking about, but I can't sleep. So but this to me that was. But as hindsight, I'm like, that was just probably like regular, just something happened and they just, got into an argument or whatever. But I remember going with my dad to pick up my mom from, MARTA here, but it was the Rapid there. Like we'd get in the car, mostly me, because my brothers are so much older than me. So I was in the house by myself a longer time than with all three of us being in the house. But to go back, I remember my aunt, like, you have a real grown up attitude about it. And I really was like, well, my mom felt like she needed to leave. She needed to be on her own because she was married since she was 19 years old.
And what age were you at this?
I was in 12th grade.
Oh, okay.
I was in 12th grade, my senior year and my freshman year in college, my parents were separated. Mm-hmm. But was it like everybody like kind of knew? No. I knew, I know my mom moved to Euclid, stayed in an apartment, but she felt like she needed to do that for her.
How long did she stay there? How long they separated?
They separated for about 2 years. My senior year.
I'm
Yeah, my senior year and my freshman year in college. But like I said, you would never know because every event they were together, like they were together. We all was in the car driving me down to Georgia, dropping me off to school. You know, it wasn't like separated, like you do your dad's stuff, I'm doing. No, it was like, okay, but
They
we
just
still
had two different
They just had
addresses.
two different addresses.
at the time. They just had two different addresses.
What did they separate for? Do you know, or was
I
it
don't
just
know,
they
though.
needed the time apart?
I don't really know. No, I don't really know the real reason why they separated. And I don't even remember the conversation too much. I just remember her saying that she was gonna leave. She didn't expect me to go with her, and I absolutely was just fine with it. Like I can't remember a feeling where I was like, my family is breaking up. I just was like, okay, this is what she needs. My mom's been married since she was 19 years old. She wasn't even legally illegal at 21. She was married. She had kids. She's been with the same man. I don't know what he's done. I don't know what she's done. You know what I'm saying? But she felt like that's what she needed to do. And I was just on board. I really was. I was really okay.
That speaks a lot to the security you had in your family. Like, you didn't feel like your whole world was being blown up. You were like,
And still had a key to the house. Like I said, she worked at night. She worked at night, and some mornings, instead of going all the way to Euclid to go home, she would stop by there and, you know, see what's going on, make sure I got to school or whatever.
How was your father with that?
Totally fine. Yeah, that totally fine.
I wonder if relationships need that, and they were just grown enough to, or mature enough to kind of recognize
we need a
we're not going
For
anywhere.
a couple years, didn't you?
Twice.
Twice for a couple years?
Amante was 2. Was he 2? And then we got back together when he was 4, and then I did it here. When Mia was in first grade. I lived around the corner in some apartments. Conte moved me in, and he moved me back out.
But what did you do it for?
Because I had never, with the one I did it here, I went through a midlife crisis.
Okay.
I wanted to keep my husband and my kids, and I wanted to put them in the freezer. I had never lived by myself, so I moved out of Mama's house. I moved from Flint to Colorado, so I moved out of my mother's house with Conte. So I never had that experience of having your own apartment and your own stuff. So I kind of went through a midlife crisis. The second time, the first time, I just felt like I needed to show Conte, I don't need you like you think I need you, but I need you, but not like you think I need you. And both of us needed that. But we never made it to the divorce. And we never, I think the breaking point for me I think for both of us would have been if either one of us got another child. So we never made it that far. But yeah.
So let me ask this question, and you know, I guess for those listening who don't know, Audrey is my sister-in-law. I'm married to her oldest brother, and I always look at my in-laws as just they're amazing, and I absolutely love my mother-in-law. I feel like she's so easygoing, and I really feel like I could say anything to her or tell her anything. Her eyebrows might raise a little bit because I could be a little out there sometimes, but she would just take it in stride and just listen. And so what I was saying was, I just feel like my mother-in-law, what I love about her is that if I told her something or I talked to her, what I'm going to get is just, she's going to listen. She's going to give me a sympathetic listening ear, which is the complete antithesis of what I would get from my mother. So maybe it's just that refreshing newness of, damn, somebody really listening to me?
Without judgment.
Without judgment. Now, I've never really tested that, but I feel it. I absolutely feel it. And maybe it's just the, and I'm gonna give it right back to you, Audrey, but maybe it's just that mother-daughter thing where, and I'm speaking as positively as I can about it, where I know my mom wants the best for me. I have never doubted that. Even with all of our ups and downs and trials, I have never doubted that she loved me. I have never doubted that she wants the best for me. She just wants me to do it her way, and then she's gonna be super judgmental about anything that's outside of her way. And so that's where I think the refreshing part is, because maybe something with mothers and daughters, because they want so much for them, they're super judgmental, and they're super, don't do it this way, do it that way, that doesn't make sense, blah, 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 think it through. And it's like, that, for me, I'm not gonna speak for everybody, for me, that creates a heaviness that I now have to operate under, right? And one of the things that I have noticed in my later life is this idea of perfectionism, where I think I can't do anything, because I gotta have everything in order, and it's gotta be just right, and it's gotta look just like this before I say go, or before I do anything, because of the weight that I've carried, because it felt like from my mom, and maybe she didn't intend for it to be like this, but it resulted in this. No matter what I did, no matter what job I got, no matter how big my house was, no matter how much money I made, no matter the fact that I took care of my children,
It was never good enough.
it wasn't good enough. I could have done better. I should have done better. I should have done differently. I should have done it like her. That's the ultimate thing, right? I should have done it like her, which means that for much of my life, I'm second guessing. It's one or two things with me. Either I'm second guessing myself, or it's the same thing at the same time, or I'm in straight rebellion. Oh, she said go do this, well, I'm gonna do it the other way. And I ain't gonna be doing it because she want me to do it. It don't matter if she right or not. But she ain't gonna tell me I'm gonna do it like this. That's how I got to the neighborhood cat. And she was like, you can't go there. You gotta be a legacy. I bet you I will. So the weird thing is, it served me in some instances.
To that
and
ambition.
The ambition, the drive,
Independence.
all of that. It has absolutely served me. I don't take anything away from that. But at what cost? Because what y'all don't hear from me is all the internal conversations I have with myself, spinning myself out of control about, should I do it like this? What did I do? Did I think about this? I mean, just my internalization of trying to figure things out, and this facade of strength on the outside, it's a lot. It's a lot, and looking like something that you just know that you're not really internally, that's a whole nother burden to carry. I do love working out. I like being fit. Yes, I'm a former military member. All these things. It doesn't mean I'm infallible, and it doesn't mean that I don't have any feelings or emotions. And every once in a while, when I'm talking to my mom, she'll say these things. Oh, I thought you were stronger than that. I thought you could have taken that. You're strong.
And she will just break you to the core.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yes and no.
Yeah, right.
Yes and no. So I didn't want to take over, but I was feeling that, and I think that's the reason why I love being in your family. I love being a part of the family, because I get that side. It's the stability. It's the family, like extended family. Like you can count on a couple people's hands, all the people in my family, but y'all family just keeps going and going, and they have been receptive to me and open and welcoming, and I really feel that from a lot of people have problems with their in-laws. I could never. Both of them are delightful. I mean,
Yes,
my
they
sister-in-law's okay too.
So
Yes,
couple,
they are.
a couple things you said, and then something that you said, Audrey. Kim, you were talking about that desire for mothers to want us to do better. I think it's that for all of us, in a sense, and it just comes out in a different way. My mother has always said, you have gone well past the prayers I used to pray over you. But then when I talk about that entitlement thing, that, you know, what she wants and what I thought was envious or competitiveness or anything, it's really not that. It's wanting to do, she sees I'm doing better and she wants to do that too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I get
You see
get
what
that.
I'm saying?
My mother,
That's what
I've seen my mom try to, I see her wanting to live through different experiences that I have. Because she didn't get that. Again, she was married at 19. So I see the excitement, you know, different things that I've done in my 20s, or, you know, I see that excitement, even with my relationship with my children. If it was something that she know that she probably didn't say to me or do to me, because my parents is pretty easygoing. I got in trouble. You know, we all get in trouble. I got a few, you know, whoopings with belts and things, not as much as my brothers. But pretty much very easygoing, a little bit too easygoing, I would say, in my high school years, to be honest. Both mom and dad, both, to be honest. It's just by the grace of God that I've made it here without, you know, 5 or 6 kids before I was 18.
That's how.
But right. There's another dynamic too among us, and I think who has sisters?
I do.
You don't have any sisters? I don't have any sisters.
I do.
You have
It
one.
depends on which family you're talking about, but like my immediate family, I'm the oldest.
Yeah, and I'm the oldest. I grew up with the oldest as well, so I'm
See,
just
I'm
noticing. But
I'm
you're the baby.
I'm
But you're the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to get after too, because I had that same theory, like something about that oldest daughter.
Yeah.
They are called upon a little heavier than possibly a lot of their siblings.
I think so.
I think so.
Even if
I think so.
the oldest child is a boy, and
Still
that
the
oldest
It's the oldest daughter.
it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
You have
you're
to be
next in
strong.
command.
You
That's
have
right.
to.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
right.
that is just, to me, that's just not
But I
my
bet
family
if you
dynamic.
ask your mom.
Because I don't think they pull on
But I
my
bet
oldest
if you
brother to
ask-
be the one to.
So your mom has 2 sisters and she's the oldest, right?
She
Actually,
is the
she had
oldest.
3.
Yes,
and
she
she's
has.
the oldest.
Yes, it was 4 of them.
It was
She's
4
the
of them.
oldest.
I bet when we have an opportunity to talk. 'cause you
Now
all-
she probably felt that way. Yes.
I bet you that. I
Yeah,
bet you
I'm
that.
sure she
And
probably
I bet
felt that
you
way.
If you talk to, oh shoot.
But they're all like 2 years apart, so it's not a big gap between them. You know,
Even still.
my grandparents had 4 girls, and they like literally boom, 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 boom. You know, every 2 years one was coming out. You know,
Right.
but my mom was always, and now that I think about it, she is the oldest, and she was more. The rest of them were married too, except for my Aunt Matt, the one who passed away. But it seems like she was the one that was more financially stable to help my grandparents more than her other siblings. Because I have a aunt who had diabetes, and everything that came with diabetes happened to her. So we saw that growing up. We saw my Aunt Matt being Aunt Matt regular. We seen my Aunt Matt go blind. We seen her have to go to dialysis. We seen her get W amputee. We seen all of that, you know, and she had 1 child that lived with my grandparents as well. But all through that, I know my mom used to help my grandparents out with all of that, even financially. I remember she even bought them a car, you know, got them a car. She was paying the note on the car. And it's just certain things, you know, as you go through life. Of course, when I was young, I already know, but when you go through life, you're like, oh, Mama was doing that. You know what I'm saying? She helped that. And, you know, and my mom, and she the one who But, her and the aunt who passed away when they were young, they bought land together. They kept this land throughout. So when my mom was like, my grandfather passed, she knew that she didn't want my grandmother to be by herself like that. Even though we were still in Ohio, the other sisters were still in Atlanta and Macon. So they're like basically an hour away, But my mom was the one who moved here to be with my grandmother. She's the one who was like, and that's my dad again, but they wasn't separated. They wasn't separated, but my dad was just working. He had a few more years to retire, so it made no sense for him to move. So she could transfer her job with working at the post office, which she did, and still work out her years until she was retired, so she could be there for my grandmother, so she wouldn't live by herself. And in the meantime, that land that her and her sister had together, they bought my cousin out. He wasn't going to do anything with it, but they made sure he was compensated for his mom's part. And then, which was, I guess, up until the time she passed, because after that, my mom was the one who was paying, the taxes on it by herself. So, but they still bought him out and built the house. Made sure it was a whole in-law suite. My grandmother had her own bathroom, her own bedroom. She had her own everything. The little parlor was like supposed to be like her little sitting area or whatever. Like she had, her own space. And my mom took care of her until she died. She took care of her until she died. And that was a sacrifice that she made for her mother. Probably, I don't know why, but because she was the oldest.
They're going to wear a sacrifice again.
Yeah.
Do you know were you able to observe or think back about what their relationship was like?
And I think my mom wished that she had that relationship with me. I don't know why. I don't talk to my mom about everything. She wishes I can. I could tell by some of the questions that she asked me. And I'm like, Mom, why are you asking me that? But she doesn't mind asking. I just don't feel comfortable with answering for some reason. Maybe that's something I can unpack, but I don't really know why. But my mom and grandmother could talk about anything. I've heard the conversations. I heard her say whatever, ask whatever. And my grandmother had 4 girls, and she literally taught them to be ladies. Like the white gloves, cooking, sewing, gardening, knowing every flower, knowing how to, plant every vegetable. My kids used to be like, Grandma, we just going to Walmart. She'd be like, come on, y'all, let's go to Walmart. My mom was going in that room and changing whatever she had on around that house. And she's going like she's going somewhere. And they like, Mama, we going to Walmart. Why you done changed your clothes? And they grew up teasing her about that. But it's like, that's just how she was. Because that's how I have one of my favorite pictures of my grandmother when she passed. You go through the pictures to put it in the obituary. And it's my grandmother wearing this baby blue dress. And she has on a little hat. And she has her purse on her lap, and she has white gloves, and she's sitting like this. I have that picture to this day. And I'm like, she was just such a lady, and she literally taught her girls to be that way. And my grandfather taught them to be that way, to where he taught the grandkids that were girls, he treated us that way. Like it was a distinct, boys, y'all do that. Girls, come here and sit down. Y'all do that. Girls, he had a truck. He had his orange pickup truck. Y'all get in the back. You want to get in the back too? No. Y'all sit up here with me. Y'all not, girls, y'all don't supposed to be back there. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing that I look at, when people say I'm spoiled, and I really am, and I think that's why I'm single. Because I just can't
So let me ask this question. I didn't mean to
Okay.
interrupt you.
No, you're
Okay,
fine.
so
Because I was just rambling.
your
anyway now.
mom and your grandma had this kind of dynamic, this relationship where they were very open with each other. Talk about anything. You and your mom, it looks like you set some boundaries. Like, I'll talk about some things with you, and you're gonna talk about everything. Okay. What's it like with you and your daughter?
That child tells me everything. She does.
And you haven't set boundaries with her?
I didn't want to in the beginning, and now I really don't want to either. But I could tell as she gets older, she's holding back too. She's not gonna tell me everything. But before if she didn't tell me right then, give it a week, and it's gonna be coming out. And she would tell her friends, well, I probably she was like, Mama, don't say nothing, if you, see him or whatever. And she was like, or she'd say, well, they already know, because I'll be telling them that you're my best friend and I'm going to tell you anything. And stuff like that, But when she was growing up, I made sure that I didn't make any facial expressions when she told me things. Like, I was literally inside just fighting, like, oh. And I'm listening like, oh my God. And that's what my son too. I remember my son telling me a story about in junior high school about 2 kids getting caught in the locker room having sex in junior high school. And in junior high?
Wow.
Got caught in having sex. My son only knows growing up in the church. So this is what he said to me in the 6th grade. Mama, guess what happened? And he told me what happened. And I'm looking at him like, with the straightest face, my baby says, and Mama, they going to hell. Because they were in the basement having sex, la, 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 la. And I was like, they going to hell. And, and I didn't even want to laugh, because I don't want him to think, I'm just like, but after he left, I couldn't help but to crack up laughing, but he was just so open to just tell me that and didn't think nothing of it. Like, Mama, guess what happened today at school? And I told them that they going to hell. I was like, that's something you would kind of laugh at,
Yeah.
But I was just like, but that's just both of them to this day. Like, my son had a fake ID since he been in school. But why do I know that? So when we were in Florida and he ordered his own drink when we was at the clubhouse, and I said, y'all, his name is Josh while we at the bar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he just turned 21 Tuesday. He wasn't nowhere near 21. But I'm like, go ahead and order that margarita.
He was also with his uncles who was going to give him whatever he wanted.
Exactly.
Anyway. It was family vacation. That's what happens.
But yeah, they do tend to tell me everything. And like I said, I don't know why certain things I'm not, open with just to, tell my mom, but I don't know, I'm just not. But them jokers, my kids, they pretty much kind of tell me everything.
That's interesting. Well, do y'all know my story? I think you do, right? I don't even know how to detail my story.
Right,
I'm still trying to work it out for myself, but what I will say is this. I kind of started off with, and I've had to think about it, so I try to break it down to, different decades and everything. But I know in the house with my parents, my mom was definitely the authority. My mom was definitely running the household. And she ran us, me and my brother. My brother's about 6 years younger than I am.
Was she single mom or?
No. She was married, and then she had me and my brother with my dad. And what the interesting thing is, I always likened myself to having grown up a lot like the Huxtables. My parents weren't attorneys and doctors, but my parents were, my mom's an educator, my dad's a firefighter. But we lived in the suburbs. We went, to, at the time, what they used to call mixed school, which was 60-40 white to black, a very integrated And, you know, we had a great life. We went on great vacations. I had my own room. Like, that's a big deal. Like,
Yeah, that was a big deal.
For granted.
Yeah.
And much like your mom, my mom, this is my favorite story to tell. Is anyone familiar with Value City?
Yes.
Value City?
Uh-huh.
I used to cringe at going to Value City because it just looked like a junky mess to me because I wanted to go to all the other stores. I think for me it was Deb's. Do y'all remember Deb's?
Deb's
And
579.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
579.
579.
Yeah, now we do have 579. Yes, we
And
do
my
have
mom was like,
579.
we're going to Value City. And I'd be like, oh, I want to go there. However, my mom would get in there and she had a very good eye for quality clothing, really looking at stitching. She knew about name brands. I didn't know anything about name brands. I remember I had this pink and white checkered skirt, which was Anne Klein, and I wore it to school, and everybody's like, oh, you got on Anne Klein?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I guess. I don't know. Because it didn't mean anything to me because it came out of Value City first.
So is it really Ann?
Who knows, right? But I would say growing up, I had a really great life. Never had any lack. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And even then, my relationship with my mom was pretty good. It was quite good. What I will say is it was more directive, right? Okay. I do remember starting to have a little riff with her, and this is just me becoming a teenager and trying to, you know, flex a little bit and wanting to make my own decisions. I was always a great student, but my mom being an educator, she always wanted to look over my stuff. If you know me, I don't like anybody looking over my stuff. That started way back when. That's not recent, but I was a great student. So if I wrote a paper, I felt confident about my paper. You don't need to go look at it. It's fine, lady. So then what would happen is I get A minus, and she'd be like, if you would let me look at the paper, you would have got an A plus.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's an A nonetheless.
Wow.
You know, that kind of thing. So that's when, you know, the little pushback started happening with me. And then I remember like kind of a defining moment, my mom having gone to a HBCU and having pledged at the HBCU. That was in her wheelhouse for me. Ooh, that's what you don't do. She had every summer, because she's an educator, if we weren't in somebody's program like C Cubed or MEOP or doing something, when we vacation, part of our vacation included college visits because she was already instilling in us, this is what you're going to do. And it would be PWCs and it would be HBCUs. You know, that's just what we did. That was a part of our vacation. So when I come out and I'm like, I want to go to the Naval Academy, she's like, nah, you don't. I'm like, I do though. She's like, why you want to do that? And she's like, what you need to do is keep filling out the application. I'm like, nah, I'm about to go over here because they pay me to go to school and I don't have to think about what to wear because I was never a girly girl. All right, I was kind of a tomboy for a long, long time. Had boyfriends and stuff like that, but they were athletes, so they didn't want to know I was a tomboy, right? So I'm thinking, I don't have to pick out no clothes. They're going to put a uniform on me. They're going to pay me. I got 100% job placement. I got a place to live. Like, this is a no-brainer because I always thought highly of the Navy and military service anyway. And my mom she just could not believe it. Don't you want to go to Howard? Don't you want to go here? Ohio State. Don't you want to go there? Anyway, I'm like, nah, go over here. And that was like the beginning of the ripple. Because how dare I decide where I'm going to go to school on my own? And then, how dare I get in? Like, what? But the funny thing is, as she put up the resistance, she also broke her neck to help me. Like back then, so this is in, 87, 88, because I graduated in 88 from high school. There was no email and it was nothing quick. It was faxes and paperwork and all these things that had to be done. And homes didn't have those things. So she would carry all this stuff to work. The thing is, she would take all this stuff to work And she would be doing stuff like she wasn't supposed to, faxing stuff and receiving faxes, all that, to help me get into the Naval Academy. You know, and if you think me going through this background check right now is extensive, to go to the Naval Academy, man, they was asking all kinds of questions, everything. She broke her neck to help me.
Sacrifice.
She did. She did. I will admit that. I got in, and it was so funny because everybody else was like amazed and shocked, and I was like, yeah, I told you, I'm going. But beyond that, I just feel like something in our relationship shifted. I don't think it was the Naval Academy, because one thing about my mom that I believe, I'm not saying this fact, I believe, she likes to brag. She likes to, in her social circle, so I already said she's Greek, so she's got that social circle. And then she's an educator, so she's got Phi Beta Kappa, she's in that social circle. And then her HBCU alumni. And then all her little social circles, then she gets to go and say, oh my daughter, oh my daughter, oh my daughter. For the thing that you didn't even want me to do, but that's cool. That's cool, you know, badge of honor. You know, she's wearing that. Fine, go right ahead. So, but never doubted that. But I just think something in our relationship shifted while I was in the Naval Academy and shortly thereafter. And I really can't put a finger on it because I think back now. So what I will say, in my 30s and 40s, I guess it's worth telling the story. So I met my first husband while I was in the Naval Academy. He was not a Naval Academy graduate. He was an enlisted person who I came across, who was fun, and he did fun things. And so before meeting him, I was dating a Naval Academy midshipman who happened to be David Robinson's brother. So my mom got super hyped about that. Right? Yeah, she got super hyped about that because she thought I was bringing him home. Well, we happened to break up because he drove by me in his car with another woman. I mean, it's over, okay? And then I met my now ex-husband, and he ended up coming home with me. And my mom was not happy about it, to say the least. And I feel like that's kind of where it started. But most definitely, once we got married, had children, and then got divorced.
And it really started.
I think it happened when I got divorced. But it's worth mentioning, at the same time of that little span, my mom and my dad got divorced. And it was really messy, and it was really hurtful. My dad had a couple kids while married to my mom. And it's one thing to have one,
But a couple?
but he had two.
A couple.
And Cleveland is not that big. So, and then with my mom being the social, what's that term?
Butterfly?
It was
Social
embarrassing.
butterfly. Lots of people knew. And then my dad was very social also. The city knew. And so not only did she go through this divorce and this embarrassment with these kids having been born on her, everybody had to know about it. So yeah, I think those two things happening at the same time, I think it kind of broke her. And then it was the brokenness and the disappointment combined. And she always viewed me as being so much like my father. Now, when she looked at me, it's like,
Yeah.
you.
Just like that man.
Yeah, and I was a daddy's girl.
Yeah.
Like my mom and I got along just fine, but I'm in the garage with my dad. I'm under the car with my dad. I'm sneaking out the kitchen knives so he can change the brakes in the garage. You know, like stuff like that. You know, I'm just there. That's what happened. And I just feel like those couple things happened. And I remember distinctly her telling me when I was going through my divorce, you should have made him. You should have made him. You should have made him. I can't make another human being do anything. And that was hurtful because what I needed was a soft landing.
Right.
I had never been married before. I didn't even know if I was doing it right or not.
Right.
Now I done brought these 2 kids into the world, and we're not working. Speaking of working, my ex-husband wasn't working. Let's go there. And I'm taking care of everybody. So stress upon stress upon stress, and then my mom to be like, and you should have made him go to work, and you should have made him bring his check home, and you should have made him pay some bills. How? How am I supposed to do all this?
When he ain't got no job.
Right. How am I supposed to be mom and employee and run
Wife.
a household? Like,
And the provider.
And a wife.
And a provider. How am I supposed to do all that?
And then be a wife.
And then all that.
And
And
then
so
be self.
I will take responsibility for I overshared because I was hurt and not knowing what to do. Mom, what should I do? Mom, what about this? Mom, what about that? And every time I told her something, she would just save it, save it, save it.
To give it back to you.
And then, as we went down the road, she would throw it
Going
back at me.
back at you.
And I thought that was one of the most hurtful things because it's like I'm telling you these things, like I'm sharing my heart with you,
Right.
and you throwing it back in my face. So the fracture it literally started as a fracture, and then as it progressed, it just feels like it got broken.
How old were you?
So I was, I think I was a freshman in college when my parents got divorced. And then shortly thereafter, let me see, I got married to my
Wait,
ex-husband.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said freshman in college. Is it the Naval Academy?
The Naval Academy.
Okay.
At the Naval Academy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a plebe, but y'all wouldn't know what plebe was, so I said
Okay.
freshman.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and then I married the person she didn't think I should marry. Had kids with him, didn't work out. I didn't run the relationship the way she would have approved of me running the relationship. But at the same time, so me being me, I'm looking at her like, hey, you're divorced, ma'am. What? You didn't run your relationship either. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Neither of us know how to run a relationship. We should be finding some solidarity instead of you sitting here, trying to one-up me, right? So, yeah, I think that's where it started with us. And then that competitiveness came in where it was like, well, yeah, you did this, but I did this better. Yeah, you may have done this, and yeah, maybe we both went through this, but I did this a little bit better. And that's how I always felt like, man, no matter what, there's no getting out of this. So like, I got divorced in Fulton County and had, the kids were 1 and 3 at the time. And these things happened within 3 months. I got divorced, I got laid off my job and had to file bankruptcy. All right, all within 3 months. So, and I was living in Alpharetta. So I tucked tail and I was like, let me go back home. And the whole time my mom's talking to me like, I can't help you while you're all the way down there in Georgia. The only way I can give you some help is if you come home to Cleveland. If you come home to Cleveland. I'm like, okay, you're right. I need to regroup. And I'm thinking maybe I have some help with the kids, have a little bit of support, get back on my feet, all these things. Just get myself back together. I moved back to Cleveland. She's like, you can't live with me.
Ooh.
And I'm like, I don't even have a job. I had severance. And I'm watching it tick away because the kids don't stop needing stuff.
Right.
All right? They need what they need. She made me get an apartment. You need to get your own place. I'm doing this to make you stronger. Like, okay. So I gotta immediately start paying. Then I had to go find a job. I'm not watching the kids. Now,
How old was she?
I don't know how old she was, but
Okay.
when I got divorced and moved back home, I think I had just turned 30.
So she was in her
Oh,
40s,
I
45s,
I
50s.
never knew that. So you were married, divorced with 2 kids before you were 30, just like me.
By the time I was 30, yes. Yes, ma'am. Because I got married in 94. I was divorced. The divorce was finalized in 2001, but we were separated in 2000. Yeah. I had Kamal in 99 and got divorced the next year. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, I went home to try to build myself back up, only to be, in my opinion, kicked in the stomach. Now you can't live. And at the time, she's living in the house that I grew up in by herself.
So she had room.
She had room for
She
you.
had room. She was like, I'm gonna make you, something to that, I'm paraphrasing. You'll be a stronger person for it.
Was she wanting you to be do the same kind of sacrifice? And I keep saying that sacrifice because it seems like all of us at some particular time had a sacrifice story behind our moms and how much they did for us. And it came out in different ways. But was that what that was?
She felt like that this was gonna be beneficial for me. I honestly think she believed that. I do think there was an element of her thinking that I was going to use her. Like, I don't even know where that came from. Like, ma'am, I've been in the military service. I'm a relatively responsible person. I've always had a job. I've always had income. I just happened to get laid off and divorced and bankrupt at the same, like, these things, life just happened. I don't know what she was thinking, like I was gonna take advantage of her, I think. And she wasn't gonna have that. So I got the apartment and all these things. And sometimes she would watch the kids, but most times she wouldn't. And that's just what it was. And so right then at that point, I was like, and then my ex-husband, he didn't want to pay child support. He didn't want to do, I guess what I'm saying is right there around my early 30s, I was like, it's me or nothing. If I can't do it, I'm not gonna ask nobody. I'm not gonna depend on nobody else, because there ain't nobody else here.
That's what she wanted you to get to, maybe?
And I think that's where she wanted me to get to. And like I said, I got there, but at what cost?
Because of the mental piece.
At what, the emotional piece.
The emotional piece.
Right?
And now, hence your relationship with your mom right now.
But I also think somewhere in there, she wanted you to need her. And you proved to her that you didn't.
You know what?
That's interesting.
I do agree with you.
I think she
To an
wanted,
extent.
I do think she wanted you to need her. But she wanted you to, Mama, I need you. Where when she didn't, you just said, okay, I got it. So I think she might feel hurt that you didn't need her.
You know what? That's interesting, because I do remember at some point her saying something to that effect. That, because in my opinion, in my observation, she dotes on my brother. She does anything.
Let's not talk about that.
But a lot of it, and I recognize it now as an older person, he needs her more. He inquires of her more than me. You know, from my early experience, it's like when I decided, and I'm telling you, it was a decision, blood line in the sand. I ain't gonna ask nobody else for nothing else going forward. So help me God. And I'm telling you, I stuck to that. But my brother, you know, he was a communications major. Didn't really go the way he thought it was gonna go. Ma, you think I can get an education? Oh yeah, just Ma, how do I do this? Oh, Ma, can you help me with my paper? Ma, can you go with me and look at this
He
apartment?
needed her.
Ma, yes.
He needed her.
And that, it served her.
He needed her.
And then there's me in comparison, even though I may have needed her. I wasn't gonna say it. I wasn't gonna admit it. I wasn't gonna verbalize it.
And you know what? That's why she didn't want you in the house, because y'all would have been like this. Because you didn't need her.
Possibly.
And she wanted you to need her.
She wanted you to
Yeah.
to stay there.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
She didn't want me to stay there.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did.
Yes, you did. You just
Yes,
had
you
to
did.
say that.
You just
Yeah,
had
you
to
hadn't
say
You
it.
didn't
Yeah.
verbalize
You
it.
didn't verbalize it. You didn't
You
say.
told and
Exactly.
not only that, you said it without saying it, and what you did was assumed
Instead
That she
of
would take care of the
saying,
kids when you went
you
up there,
showed
just
it.
putting things in place that maybe not even involving her.
But I hadn't even had the conversation. I'm thinking, because I was pretty emotionally broken. Like, nobody gets married to get divorced. Even if it's a terrible marriage.
Yeah.
You get married to
To
be
stay
married.
married.
Right? And then, not only that, now I'm really questioning my decision making. Like, do I even know what I'm doing? Like, I chose this person and he would do this. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, maybe I don't know how to make a decision. And then I have my mom like, yup, you want to make a good decision. You should have been with him in the first place. So you know what I'm saying? It's that,
I told you.
that battle of the internal conversation I'm having.
Right.
And then when and I will admit, it could have been what I was feeling, or it could have actually been said. You know, if I'm being honest. So, but yeah, and I'm that type of person. Y'all are still learning me. I am that type of person. I am very matter of fact. I'm getting better. I'm getting softer as I get older. But I've always been a very matter of fact person. It is or it isn't.
Is your mom matter of fact?
My mom, she thinks she is, but she's quite emotional. No, she's a very emotional person. But her emotion comes out in pettiness. And this is my assessment. Pettiness, and if you slight her, she's going to slight you back and cut your throat. Period.
Right.
Like, and y'all share the same birthday.
We do.
And so you know what I'm talking about. Like, if I step on her toe, she gonna break my foot.
So my mom's famous phrase is, if you kill my dog, I'm gonna kill your cat.
That part.
That part.
And the mama.
Well, I don't know about, but
I'm
she.
gonna kill the kid and the cat.
Mine is passive aggressive. She'll throw it out there, and then she'll say, "I'm just saying."
Right.
And
But
then
you
she'll
already said it.
then she'll poop it out. You're right. She'll poop again, and then she'll say, "Well, I'm just saying." I'm just saying, and it'll be passive aggressive.
Yeah. But yeah. So thank you. Always good conversation. We barely scratched the surface. We really did. So
I know, because I was thinking of a whole lot of stuff over here. I'm like, we need more time.
we do need more time. Y'all, would you all be up for coming back together?
Yeah.
So I would have to figure out where we left the conversation, and you know what? You know what's so funny? I planned for a part 2. I knew we weren't going to be able to get into all.
Thank you so much for listening to the Motherly Shift podcast. We've just concluded the 3-part series of the first episode titled The Conversation. In this episode, we delved deep into the complex and nuanced relationships between mothers and daughters. Through the personal stories and reflections shared by the participants, listeners gain a profound understanding of the emotional landscapes that shape these bonds across generations. From Tisha's account of her mother's struggle with addiction to Wednesday's reevaluation of her relationship with her mother, highlighting the wisdom and guidance she received despite the challenges, the conversation paints a vivid picture of the joys, sacrifices, and challenges inherent in mother-daughter dynamics. Andrena's wish for her mother to have been stronger and more independent, juxtaposed with Audrey's gratitude for her mother's unwavering support, further illustrates the diverse experiences that can unfold within familial ties. These narratives are universal themes of the desire for approval, the impact of generational differences, and the profound influence mothers have on their daughters' lives. The participants' candid discussions not only provide valuable insights, but also serve as a reminder of the importance of open communication, setting boundaries, and finding the balance between unconditional love and personal growth. As the conversation concludes, the group acknowledges the need to continue exploring these complex relationships, recognizing that there is always more to unpack and understand. For those listening, this episode offers a powerful opportunity to reflect on your own mother-daughter dynamics, whether as a mother, a daughter, or an observer. The stories shared resonate on a deeply personal level, inviting empathy, self-reflection, and a deeper appreciation for the nuances that shape these lifelong bonds. By tuning in, you can gain valuable insights, find solace in shared experiences, and perhaps even discover new pathways toward healing and strengthening the mother-daughter relationships in your own lives. Thank you for joining and following the Motherly Shift podcast. Our next series of episodes will introduce new guests and new perspectives, so please be sure to tune in. I'm Kim Michelle. Have a wonderful week until we come together again.